Hello everyone, and welcome back to another session of Dark Souls 3 PvP and another weapon showcase. This time I am using the Millwood Battle Axe, which is actually the most damaging axe class weapon in the game. Now this weapon requires 15 strength and 10 dexterity in order to wield. It has a C scaling in strength and an E scaling in dexterity, and its physical base damage is 270. Now, because this is such a strength-focused weapon, it will of course benefit greatly from the heavy infusion. That will drop its physical base damage down to 249, drop out its dexterity scaling altogether, and in turn give it an A scaling in strength. So definitely a good way of using this weapon would be to infuse it with that. That said, infusing it with Refined is always a good option as well, and in fact on my build it actually gives me an extra 2 attack rating over the heavy infusion, so it is what it is. Now, getting started with the basics on this weapon, it is nothing terribly special, like, at all. It's really nothing unique. This weapon's only real unique feature is its skill, which is still the Warcry skill, however, it works differently than every other single weapon with Warcry. With this version of the Warcry skill, you'll actually charge forward towards your opponent, and at the end of your charge you will do a little bit of a hop. When you do that hop, it activates the buff that the Warcry skill would normally give you. So it's a multi-hit attack that deals no damage and then gives you a buff like 3 seconds later. I don't like it. It's a multi-hit attack for that whole duration of you running at your opponent, and you guys know how I feel about multi-hit attacks. They are, for the most part, not good. So there's a few issues with that skill. Aside from it being a multi-hit attack, number 1, it doesn't have much hyper armor. Number 2, it's kind of hard to aim and you really do slip off of your opponent very easily. And number 3, you don't deal any damage to your opponent when you're charging into them. For every other multi-hit attack in the game, I can tolerate them because at least I'm dealing a little bit of damage when I hit. But with this, you don't deal any damage whatsoever, so it's really kind of pointless. So I'm not a big fan at all. Yes, it gives you a buff, but I would rather just use the regular Warcry buff, where I can just stand in place far away from my opponent instead of charging towards them, not dealing any damage when I actually hit them, and putting myself at risk to be hit, all for the sake of a buff. It's silly. That's really just my take on it. I don't like it at all. But, that all aside, this weapon is still the most damaging weapon in its class, so it's got that as its biggest pro. It is slightly longer reaching than most of the other weapons in the class. A few exceptions, of course, would definitely have to be the Eleonora weapon and the Butcher Knife. But other than that, it is the longest weapon in the class. That's really all it's got for pros. I mean, it's got the standard Battle Axe, or rather Axe pros, so decent damage, decent ability to stun people and stagger. With the changes they made to poison hyper armor and all that, it actually has pretty decent hyper armor when you're two-handing, so you can get away with a lot by just standing still and spamming R1 with it. But overall, it's nothing too terribly special, and the extra damage increase is good, but not enough to make me want to use this weapon more than the skill makes me want to not use it. So, it is what it is. But either way though, guys, I do want to thank you all for all of the support. This is video number 1000, so that's kind of special. I was thinking about doing a special video for this, but decided against it just due to the fact that I'm nearing 50,000 subscribers, and I feel like the video I would like to do would be more fitting for that. But anyway, that's all I've got for this video, guys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the support, and I will see you all next time.